Welcome to Mount Wood Cemetery. My name is Samuel Kraus. I was born in Bavaria, which is now part of Germany, in 1832, and moved to Wheeling at a very young age with my family. At the age of 16, in 1848, I enlisted as a Marine in the Mexican War and served there until 1852, which time I returned back home to Wheeling. Now, 1850s Wheeling, it was a bustling city. National Road had arrived in 1818. The Ohio River was flush with river traffic and transportation and industry. And the B&O Railroad was being constructed and would land in Wheeling in 1853. Now, all three of these transportation routes made for Wheeling to be a center of industry, a center of transportation, and a center of immigration. Now, us German immigrants, we fled into America and into Wheeling in the 1840s and early 1850s. Here in Wheeling, we settled down in the neighborhood of Center Wheeling. In 1861, when the Civil War broke out, myself and my German friends decided to fight for our adopted country, the Union side of the war. I enlisted as a second lieutenant in the 7th Virginia Infantry under Lieutenant Colonel John Goshorn Kelly. You'll meet Colonel Kelly's mother a little later in the tour. Now, our first duties in the Civil War was what I considered to be a little bit boring. We were protecting the railroads of Western Virginia, which are actually east of here, between Wheeling and the Martinsburg area. And we were protecting those from Confederate invaders and raiders, keeping them from dismantling the railroad and keeping the traffic flowing east to west. Now, that boring work would end come mid-September 1862, when the 7th Virginia Infantry would march to Antietam, Maryland, and fight in what was one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War, the Battle of Antietam. I unfortunately was injured that day. Spent many months after Antietam in the General Hospital. Now, while I was in the hospital, I worked hard, continued working, encouraging my fellow patients to return back to the front, which is what I intended to do as soon as I was healthy. In 1863, I was healthy enough to leave the hospital and return back to the 7th Infantry. But we were no longer the Virginia Infantry. We were the 7th West Virginia Infantry, fighting for the newly founded state of West Virginia. Now, in July 1863, we then marched off to what is the most famous battle of the Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg. And we fought gallantly at the Battle of Gettysburg, so gallantly that we've been given a monument atop one of the hills. And I'd like to read the inscription to you from that monument. Sons of the Mountains, 7th West Virginia Veterans, Romney to Appomattox, 1st Brigade Carroll, 3rd Division, 2nd Corps. At dusk, July 2nd, Carroll's brigade was ordered by General Hancock to this point, the point where the statue sits. On arriving there, we found the battery about to be taken charge of by the enemy, who were in large force. Whereupon we immediately charged on the enemy and succeeded in completely routing their entire force and driving them beyond our lines. Now, we lost 5 men that day, 41 were injured, and we had another man that went missing in action. I, however, was fortunate enough to not have been injured that day and continued on the pursuit of Confederate General Robert E. Lee all the way back to Manassas Gap.
Anybody need a lift?